3 of the wisest parables. Silence. One day, the Buddha was passing through a village. A group of his opponents gathered. They began to insult him with fervor, with malice. But the Buddha remained silent. He listened calmly, so calmly, in fact, that it made them uncomfortable. They hurled insults, but he accepted their words as if they were music. Something felt wrong. Finally, one of them turned to the Buddha. "What's the matter? Don't you understand what we're saying?" The Buddha replied, "It is with understanding that such deep silence is possible." Then he continued, "If you had come to me 10 years ago, I would have thrown myself at you in anger. Back then, I did not understand, but now I do. And because of your foolishness, I cannot punish myself. You may choose to insult me, that is your choice. But whether I accept your insults or not, that is my freedom. You cannot force them upon me. I simply refuse them. They are not worth taking, so you may keep them." Then he smiled. "If I hate, I take something away from myself. If I love, I enrich myself. Hatred is slow suicide, and self-love at the expense of others is the greatest poverty of all." The boat. A teacher once told his students a story. "When I was young, I loved to swim alone on the lake, under the moonlight. I was surrounded by peace, by stillness. I would lie on the water, looking at the stars, listening to my thoughts. One night, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a boat drifting toward me. I swam to the side, but the boat kept coming straight at me. I called out, but there was no response. The boat kept coming. My anger flared. I was about to shout, to curse the person for disturbing my peace. But then, as the boat drifted closer, I saw the truth. The boat was empty. My anger had nowhere to go. Who was I going to yell at? I had no choice but to laugh, roll onto my back, and stare up at the stars once more. And in that moment, I made an important discovery. I realized the empty boat had become my teacher. Since that night, whenever someone tried to hurt me and I felt anger rising within me, I would simply remind myself, this boat is empty too, because what begins in anger always ends in shame." The provocateur. Once upon a time, there was a wise old samurai. He had a group of students whom he taught both wisdom and martial arts. One day, as he was teaching, a young warrior arrived, one known for his rudeness and cruelty. His favorite tactic was provocation. He would insult his opponent, mock them, taunt them, until they lost their temper. Blinded by rage, they would make mistakes, and then he would defeat them. And so that day, the warrior began his usual game. He hurled insults at the samurai, waiting, watching. But the samurai did not react. He simply continued his lesson. The warrior tried again. Nothing. A third time. Silence. Frustrated, the young fighter stormed away. The students, who had watched in awe, turned to their master. One of them asked, "Master, why did you endure his insults? Why didn't you challenge him?" The samurai smiled and replied, "When someone brings you a gift and you refuse to accept it, to whom does it belong?" The students thought for a moment, then answered, "To the one who brought it." The samurai nodded. Exactly. The same is true for envy, hatred, and insults. As long as you do not accept them, they remain with the one who delivered them. If you respond to insults with insults, you have accepted the gift. And in doing so, you have lowered yourself to the level of the offender.